12,287. Remember that number, because the NFL never wanted you to. Michael Irvin, the playmaker, 5 Pro Bowls, 3 Super Bowl rings, first-ballot Hall of Famer, career receiving yards, 11,904. Calvin Johnson, Megatron, the most physically dominant receiver the league has ever seen, first-ballot Hall of Famer, career receiving yards, 11,619. More yards than Irvin, more yards than Megatron, 2 men with gold jackets, 1 man with more yards than both of them. And the man who caught them all, he's not in the Hall of Fame. He's not in the conversation. He's not even in the argument. His name is Jimmy Smith. What happened to his legacy wasn't an accident. This was a choice. The media made it, and Jimmy Smith paid for it. 1992, NFL Draft, Round 2, Pick 36. The Dallas Cowboys take a receiver out of Jackson State named Jimmy Smith. 2 Super Bowl rings in his first 2 seasons. Not as a starter, as a special teams player, learning at the feet of a dynasty. Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith. Early in his career, Jimmy Smith was watching how it's done at the highest level in football. Then his body nearly kills him. A severe appendectomy infection. Jimmy Smith almost died. When he came back, Dallas cut him. The Jaguars were in their first year of existence. A franchise with no history, no identity, no standards yet. They took a chance on Jimmy Smith. He ended his first season in Jacksonville with just 22 catches, a total unknown at 26 years old. And that's exactly when he became dangerous. After turning 27, after surviving a near-death infection, after getting cut, after ending his first Jacksonville season with just 22 catches, Jimmy Smith put up 840 receptions and 11,999 receiving yards, 1 yard shy of 12,000. And the league hadn't even noticed. The human aging curve says a receiver peaks in his mid-20s and fades. Nobody told that to Jimmy Smith. Between 1996 and 2005, Jimmy Smith had 6 consecutive seasons over 1,000 receiving yards, 5 Pro Bowl appearances. And then came 1999. That was something else entirely. 116 receptions, 1,636 receiving yards in 1999, when DBs were still allowed to jam receivers for 5 yards off the line, when defensive coordinators still had the tools to erase individual receivers from a game plan. They couldn't erase Jimmy Smith. What teams started doing is treating Jimmy Smith like a quarterback. They rebuilt their entire coverage structure around 1 man in teal. Game planning around individual receivers is something you do for Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Marvin Harrison. That is the level Jimmy Smith was operating at. In the national media, half of them didn't care to even know his name, because SportsCenter wasn't driving down to North Florida. The cameras were in Dallas, New York, Green Bay. The market decided who mattered, and Jacksonville didn't have enough zip codes to qualify. Let's talk about Michael Irvin, because this is where it gets uncomfortable. Michael Irvin is in Canton. Michael Irvin has the gold jacket. He's on every top 10 greatest receivers list. And Michael Irvin has fewer receiving yards than Jimmy Smith. And it's really not even that close. 383 fewer yards. That's a 24 catch gap at Irvin's career average. The argument against Jimmy Smith is always the same. He played on losing teams. He didn't win. Jacksonville wasn't relevant. Let me tell you what the argument actually is. It's a Jacksonville Tax, a penalty for catching passes in the wrong stadium, in the wrong market, in front of the wrong cameras. If Jimmy Smith played those same seasons, same route tree, same production, same physical gifts, but he's wearing silver and blue in Dallas, he is widely protected as a top 5 receiver in NFL history. He's in every highlight package from 1995 to 2005. Troy Aikman is throwing him the ball every Sunday on national television. But he wore teal, so the record doesn't count. the East Coast media monopoly doesn't hold a press conference. It doesn't write a memo that says Jacksonville doesn't count. It just doesn't show up, year after year, highlight after highlight, yard after yard, and a generation of football fans grow up never knowing the name Jimmy Smith. That's not an accident. That's a choice the media made and never looked back from. Here's what we know. Jimmy Smith has 12,287 receiving yards, more than Michael Irvin, more than Megatron, more than Andre Rison, Hines Ward, or Charlie Joyner, more than almost every receiver currently in Canton. He caught passes in an era where corners could still hold you hostage at the line. He did it against defenses that built entire game plans around stopping him. He did it year after year with quarterbacks who were competent but never elite. He did it in Jacksonville. Here's the part that should bother you more than anything else in this video. Jimmy Smith didn't have one miracle season that the league got lucky enough to witness. He didn't have a fluke year that inflates his numbers and collapses the argument the second you look closer. He did this for a decade. 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons, 5 Pro Bowls, production that didn't dip, didn't disappear, didn't depend on one quarterback or one scheme or one lucky bounce. That's not the profile of a system receiver who got hot. That's the profile of a Hall of Famer. The only thing missing is Canton finally recognizing his greatness. And maybe that's the real story here. Not that Jimmy Smith was robbed in some dramatic, headline-grabbing way. Nobody held a press conference and said his name didn't matter. It was quieter than that. And honestly, quieter is worse. It was a decade of cameras pointed at someone else. A decade of highlight shows that had 15 minutes to fill and chose Dallas, chose New York, chose Green Bay. Every single time there was a choice to make. Jimmy Smith didn't lose a debate. He never got invited into a room where the debate happened. So I want to leave you with a question, not a comfortable one. Is production a lie if it doesn't happen in a major media market? If the Hall of Fame is supposed to honor the best players, not the best stories, not the best markets, not the best television contracts, then why is Jimmy Smith still entirely invisible? Drop your answers in the comment. I want to know where you stand. If you're new here, we tell the stories the NFL doesn't want you to remember. The legends who got buried. The careers that got erased. The numbers that should have changed everything. If you believe the Jacksonville Tax is real, check out our Fred Taylor video linked above. Hit subscribe. The next one is already coming. This is the Gameday Giants. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.